my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black and white, it's my black and white, it's my black and white scarf.
Hello, and you're very welcome to the Town End Podcast. It's season 6, episode 3. We are back, baby. Yes, but unfortunately, we are back at a deadlock in Derry. Not a bad way to open up our Premier Division season, but you would feel maybe it's 2 points dropped. To go through the game, we're joined by Gally tonight. How are you? Good time, but
and you're sporting a lovely beard there, Christopher. I just noticed that, even though we spoke for the last 5 minutes. Fabulous beard you brought in there. I can't compare, unfortunately.
This cold weather.
Yeah, this is your Premier Division look.
This is it. Gally, we waited a long time for this first game to get us back into the Premier Division. It was a false start last week. Mm-hmm. Finally got into it. I mean, the anticipation seems to be building forever. This is the longest off season that's been around for a long time, but it's good just to get football again.
Yeah, I think that was the whole build up to. No matter what happened tonight, result-wise, I think everybody's just delighted to be watching the dog playing where they should be playing. I suppose it was a quick season last year, but like you said, the pre-season and the off-season waiting, and I think. Because we haven't got, we know we're not going to be playing home till next week, and we haven't seen a lot of pre-season matches. Look, we were lucky enough to go down to having a more, or those the Jim Malone couples behind closed doors, that type of thing. A lot of fans probably haven't seen Dundalk in action at this group. Almost forgetting who were shining until you seen the lineup tonight. But yeah, it's regardless of result or regardless of performance, it was just great to see them back playing Premier Division football, playing where they should be, after what was, in hindsight, maybe felt like a long season last year. But in the grand scheme of things, when you consider we're now in February, you go back 18 months of where we were, it's been a really quick turnaround 18 months. I mean, although we wanted the First Division to end in July so we could get going for Premier Division, we rightly took our place in the First Division and where we probably deserved to be at the time. And look, we bounced back up, and look, I don't want to get too ahead of myself on the first game, but I mean, from tonight's performance, although Derry, look, we can talk about Derry being poor, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. I had bad Derry well, but I don't really care. I think the lads set up really well, and it was a really good game to get going. It's a pity, like you say, we weren't playing last week. Yeah, we'd love to see the first game in Tallaght, but look, that game will come around, and we've got a crack at it tonight, and I don't think we've done ourselves any harm whatsoever.
Like I say, it's been a busy off season, I suppose, with signings and everything else, and that comes with its own dilemma of what sort of a team is Killer going to put out on this. Any surprises for you in that starting lineup?
Not really. I mean, I don't think that not the lineup as such. I mean, Kenny, what you seen at the start, was probably playing in the hold in the number 10 role, which is slightly surprising, maybe probably because more of his physical stature more than anything else. But Jesus, that was it's obviously something they've been looking at, because I thought he was excellent. Lineup wise, I don't really think so. I mean, I'd be interested to see how long we go with the two boys in midfield. Who comes in there? Maybe can someone step in? But I mean, again, on the Astro tonight, having the preseason, they haven't really had a game. They haven't had a game in Oriel yet. I can't really argue too much with the lineup. I mean, you look at Bones. I mean, we've signed Tyreek Wilson during the week. That'll be an interesting setup as we go along the season. The centre back pairing's probably the most interesting thing, because Vinnie Leonard had a season of his life last year, linked with every major club in Europe by the looks of it. And you're maybe expecting him to start, considering the Youth World Cup he's had last year as well. At the end of the season, he's had maybe the build-up's maybe a wee bit strong from probably thinking of going somewhere. He's obviously looking to live in the summer. Maybe that you could argue there's a bit of a maybe for Mayowa, but I don't think you leave the experience of Mayowa, the age, the stature. I don't think you leave a Rob Cornwall out as well against Derry City. So that kind of experience you had, first game of the season against a team that you're expecting to be right up there at the top of the season, at the end of the season. I think it's probably the right call from the boys at the back. I can't really argue much. I mean, with the exception of maybe Kenny playing in the hole, that's probably the most surprising thing maybe, but lineup wise, I don't think there's too much to argue with.
with the news that Brian Maher had pulled up in training during the week, I suppose looking at young Callister coming into the nets for Derry, it was a real opportunity. Like when the game started, the anticipation kind of subsided, and we got into, oh yeah, that's right, it's back to 90 minutes. If you ask me, it seemed like there was a very definite plan from Kieran and Ken tonight, and that was we contain Derry as much as we can here, stifle them out wide where we know rightly what they can do out wide, and then we seem to kind of ping a long ball. Danny Mullen challenged for everything up in there, and it was the second ball every time was where we were really coming in. So once Mickey Duffy, like, he was so quiet in that first half, and it seemed like we had stifled him enough for that. But it was the challenge on the second balls and us going and trying to have an effort on it. That seemed to be a real tactic in that first half.
Yeah, and I don't know whether Derry would have maybe expected it to be the other way around. You'd expect the small man to be kind of going off the Kenny drop downs, from long balls on. But and not to say we played long ball all night. We just got at it. We tactically set up to play against a team like Derry, who, like Kieran Kilduff rightly said after the game, who'll be going for the league, and he's disappointed to haven't won it. But just on the Mullins thing, that's a player we've really needed. I mean, not that we haven't had it, in the past, the potential, but to get off the mark against your old team like that tonight, like you say, the ball's into him. You'd probably expect Kenny to be knocking it into him, but the two lads look really sharp together. And luckily they've been playing together maybe a couple of seasons without going too cliche, but to go up against a team like that with that kind of, like for instance, we said at the end of last season when Ken and Kieran, at one stage Kieran wasn't even our manager at one stage, we got for about 48 hours. But we wonder what way they'd set up. Would they go at it? Would they be there kind of, we we're happy enough just to consolidate a place? They're absolutely not happy. I mean, they are happy to go at a team with everything they have. They've signed these players to do a job. Mullins for me could be an absolute gem. Look, obviously an established player in the league, but a real surprising signing probably for us before Christmas. But
yeah, I think he could lead a line like who've been used to.
Absolutely, and that's my next point. Look, we've had players in that role before, but just never really grasped it. But he's given himself a performance tonight where Ruby's going to find it difficult to kind of start and that anywhere around that area. I know he scored later on, but Mullins and the Kenny option is definitely it's something I didn't see. I would have thought they played as a 2, but Kenny seemed to drop in all the time and play as that 10 role and give Mullins a wee bit of freedom against the 2 centre backs, which this physical stature of him didn't deter him at all. I mean, he was more than capable of occupying the 2 of them, and at times unplayable. But a really good link for Kenny. You've also got the 2 boys in the wing as well. Hogan didn't look. Hogan was another player we mentioned. With the step back up the Premier Division, Buckley with him as well. Dave Dervin having a year down, a year or 2 down at First Division. Yeah, no problem, no hassle whatsoever. And look, maybe you've caught Derry on a bad night, but who cares? You've got the Astro, we're used to the Astro as well, but nothing given. It didn't give an inch. And look, at the end, you're probably, like Killer said, you're probably disappointed you haven't won the game. I
think anyone watching the Sligo match the previous week though would have seen that, whether it's nerves or it's just new players settling in or what it is with the Derry team, like they are there for, to have a go at. You could see that in the Sligo match, and by God, did Kenny take his chance when it arrived. There's a bit of confusion. The ball's kind of half cleared. Owen actually goes to charge down that ball. And when it's recycled back in, whatever, Owen's just suddenly in acres of space. No one has picked him up at all. And like I say,
that was the frightening bit, that they gave him so much space.
Yeah, and then he's in that sort of space where you're thinking, oh, actually, you've probably got time. You could hit that. And then he does hit it, and you couldn't have hit it any better.
Yeah, and time almost seemed to stand still because you didn't know whether he was going to take it on his left, because there was a chance just before that where he had a chance to pop it on his right, and he ended up taking a full 180 turn and went out wide to the winger. So you didn't know whether he's going to go with it again. But I mean, on his left peg, I mean, you give someone, it goes to show now the problem that he's going to have now. He probably won't get a chance at the league for the rest of the season, because now they know if you give him the ball around the box, that's what he's going to do. The finesse on it, left peg. Yeah, I mean, and fairness to young Carlos, he's had a decent game. He's pulled off some crack and saves, 1 or 2 before that as well, from a header as well from Kenny. But I mean, you're not getting to that. I mean, the keepers in the league. Now, look, I need to see another angle how far it's actually got into the corner. But I'm going to say that not a keeper in the league. Yes,
no, it looked quite good, and like it's
around the post and back in.
Yeah, Callister was a full stretch trying to get to it too. Like it seemed to be in the one place that no keeper, like you say, was saving it tonight. From a Derry point of view, you'd be disappointed, like you say, you give him so much space. But I like the fact that Kenny, originally challenging for the ball, ends up in that space because he's hungry for the ball, and then it's a quick head up, like, and that's the young Kenny I think we seen at the end of last year. There was brimming with confidence.
Just a natural go at it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's that instinctive hit that the keeper's going to be somewhat blindsided from the distance. I'm hitting this. But then to move it away from the keeper and into the bottom corner is a sweet strike. And you'd be hoping for more of that, because to be fair to Owen, he's had a good preseason, an excellent end to the previous season, a very good preseason, and now you just hope he continues on that form.
Yeah, I mean that's like, I just thought tonight. I was probably shocked that he played the 10 role. I just thought, because we've seen him on the wing, we've seen him up front, we've seen him left and right wing. I don't think we've seen him in there. Look, maybe
I think even when Dean Ebbe was there last year, Dean Ebbe tended to play the 10, and Owen went further up, didn't it? So it was like a reversal.
I just thought it worked really well. Look, it's the one-off game. Maybe Derry. Obviously, the boys knew what they were going to be at when they set it up like that. But I'd be interested to see it now. Is it going to be a team going forward? Because I don't see how you've changed, especially with the next game coming up. I just thought going forward we were excellent. Look. To a man, we are very, very good tonight. Look, and we can look. Obviously, we're talking about Owen Kenny and Mullins up top, and Horgan as well. But as a team, to go up there tonight, having had a week off as well, you prep for a game.
The extra week.
Derry. I mean, such a start of the season, Rovers, Derry. Like you won't get a harder season if you're going. If two teams are looking to win a league, they're the two teams this season that are going to be gunning for the league. But I can tell you now, Derry. If anybody put money on Derry City to win a league, screenshot this. They will not win the league this year. Absolutely not. Especially James.
First episode, Gally with the.
No, they won't. They were worse against Sligo last week.
You've done these predictions before. First
episode. With that team, with that manager, I don't think it'll work unless they change. I'm looking for Olshat, but look, it's. I always have a quiet crip of the early in the season. So just screenshot this with Kevin and ping you later on. But, no, it's a great start. I mean, look, and let's be honest. If we bet 1-0, 2-0, you probably would have took that as well. I mean, we don't know what we were dealing with, but I mean, with this, like Sean said, the squad looks tiny. And look, you got to be optimistic. And look, we could talk about the refs, like Frank. Yeah, look, the ref.
We'll come to even at that handball in the first half as well from James McLean. Like you've seen them given anywhere that it bounces up off the ground, but it hits his hand straight away. Declan McDay's right in front of it, and it's got both arms up, going surely. But they're claiming for a penalty a couple of minutes before that, then as well. But that's a blatant handball in this day and age. If it bounces up and it changes direction from your hand, it's a handball.
Yeah, I mean, like if the ref's consistent, and look, I can kind of half understand. Some things refs go, it's a bit of this and a bit of that, I suppose, and then they don't want to start that crack. Well, it's a given yellow card. If you start dishing yellow cards early, you're stuck with them. Well, then hang on. There's a penalty at the very end.
Gerard Wilson gets a yellow card for a foul on Michael Duffy, maybe 10 minutes into the game, but Gerard Wilson got completely taken out by James McLean in the first 10 seconds and doesn't get a yellow card.
Like if you're going to be shite, be consistently shite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be up and down. Like pick a neck which you're on, pick a ring of the ladder there, what you're going to do, because I just found some of the decisions, like even we talk about Conor Cairns coming out. Between Rob Cornwell, I think Anna Massey, that's where he pulls up as well.
Yeah, we can talk about Mayo's injury there.
That's it's a free kick. You could argue, you'd have no argument if you gave a red card though. I mean, you wouldn't really. I mean, yes, the replay, you'd have the hindsight of the replay, but it's definitely a free kick. It's not a corner. Just when the ball was at 40 yards to the right. So that inconsistency was just crazy. And look, we've benefited from it maybe going on, but you wouldn't really argue with a red card there. But look, it was such. Look, we're only what are we? Well, 15, 16 minutes in, we're talking about referees. But look, that's the league of my own fight, isn't it? There's nothing up with some weeks.
Mayo's injury, probably the only blot on that first half. Like you say, we're talking about Vinny Leonard probably being quite lucky not to be in the starting lineup, but then he does get his chance to come straight in. Look like he like a pull up of a muscle possibly on that. You're hoping it's not long term.
And it would take a lot. It would take a lot to put him lying on the ground as well. Yeah, looks like a bit of a look. We hope it's nothing major, especially first game of the season. You know, it's because the lads have signed players and it puts them on the back. But like, because if you're talking hamstring injury, do they stick or twist them with the players that they have? You know, look, this day and age, hamstring injury mightn't be as bad as it used to be, but it's still a decent time out if you pulled it. So look, I mean, look, the squad's there. You've got options. You've Devon slotted in there before as well. You can move the fullbacks around, but. Yeah, it's such a pity for
still
him.
Harvey Warren's out, still suspended for another game or a game or two. I can't remember if it's a 3 or a 2 match ban he had. So, like, you could have done with him being available now.
Absolutely, and like he probably would have been chomping at the bit then to get on.
He looked so impressive in pre-season matches when he played as well. Like, so, you know, you really would, and that experienced centre back as well.
Look, you've got a certain Mr. Leonard sitting on the bench ready to come on, you know, ready round to go, which again, like we said, probably surprised he doesn't start, but you can understand why he doesn't start as well. But he's going to be right back into the pecking order now for next week. And look, it doesn't take away, you know, from what we have at the back. It doesn't diminish us in any way. But it's such a pity when you've got a player like Mayowa who was massively influential last year. Probably almost under the radar in the league when it came to, you know, people talking about all the hype was on Vinnie Leonard. But yeah, look, a massive player, and yeah, such a pity for him. But look, I don't know. I'm trying to check the socials here on my left, but there's nothing up at that. I haven't seen anything. So look, you're hoping, you pray, but it doesn't look too clever, no.
Yeah, I suppose the first half has gone as well as it could go for Kieran and Ken there. They've got to be so disappointed to concede so early into that second half then. Yeah,
I mean, it's one of, like...
It's all your hard work from the first half undone, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, we said this before with Dundalk. It seems to be this half-time thing. We seem to have this, not so much under Ken, but definitely before them, Ken and Kieran. We seem to go in a half-time and go with a different team. Now, look, I don't think that's the case tonight. I just think Derry were knocking on the door, and look, they are going to be right up there. Look, I know I'm saying they won't win it.
Turn an inch, obviously, though, absolutely through the kitchen sink at them.
Absolutely. I mean, look, they're not expecting to go up there, you know, at home. Dundalk come to town, have come direct. Like, no matter who we sign, we've come from first division football.
Yeah.
You know, so they were probably expecting not a hammer, but like with the James McLeans of the world, the Patrick McLeans, the Mickey Duffys. But these lads weren't getting a sniff until they got their goals. I mean, that's pretty much it at the end. I mean, look, they've hit the post later on as well. But yeah, it's a sucker punch kind of at the start. It kind of takes it doesn't take the sting out of the game, but it sets you right back in the back foot. Because
we probably shouldn't be losing Patrick McLean at the back foot. He's not that hard to miss.
No, that's it. Jesus, like, I mean, you got to be picking people up like that. And before that, they had knocked on the door. They had a bit of a chance for a corner as well just before that. So look, it probably was coming, but at the same time, you know, you gotta be picking people up like that. But like, it's an obvious thing what they're going to be doing. And he's such a threat in the area. Like,
we've seen it in the FAI Cup. You know, the game we played against him up in Oriel. Like, he was titanic in that game. Was the difference between the two teams? We didn't get a sniff with him in defence, so we should have known about him. We know the threat that he does bring with Sligo that night, and look, I said, leaving him at the back post with the header, that's the unfortunate thing. Then we just seem to have to write our luck.
It's McLean to McLean as Ryan put it up, which is really sickening.
Oh Jesus, I just realised. That's what I don't undoes all the hard work from the first half. It seemed then that Derry kind of were able to get into the game a little bit more after that, then kind of grown in confidence for it. But that it was a slow start from them, and you have to capitalise these. Sligo didn't do it last time, and they paid the ultimate price. We've seen this under was probably something even from Stephen Kenny's time is making substitutes sometimes at the right time. Kieran last year tend to do these double, triple substitutions, and it would change the way the game went. Bringing on a Ruby when he done was just perfect, because we just needed to stretch that game a little bit more. We needed something a little less direct, and something that we could get a ball in behind. And a Ruby last year proved when he got his chance how good of a player he was, and it was great to see him be able to open his account on the first day. I can only imagine as a defender, I suppose, look, you're not tight. You're still, after an hour when he goes on, you still should be well fit to play the match. But it can't be good looking after being run ragged all night, or being run at, I suppose, by McDade and Darren Hogan, and you look to the bench, they're bringing on a Ruby. And look, you've done.
he's done exactly what he was brought in to do. I think James Rodgers might have said, I think that's his first goal in the Premier Division, considering he was
Yes, he wouldn't have.
That's something you wouldn't even realise until I just saw it tonight. So, but
once again, a player with confidence, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely, and he strives on it. We saw it last year. He took off after the game in Cove last year. He completely took off. He was a different machine altogether. And we didn't know whether he was going to play with the Kennys of the world and the Ebbies. We didn't know where he was going to get in, but then he ended up being like an absolute talisman for us up top. And I think he'll have a say this season as well. I don't think just because he hasn't started tonight, I think he will come into it because
he gives you something different. Like Danny Mullins is very direct, but kind of prove tonight that we can do something with both.
And he's got the left peg, and he can I'm not saying he's as influential as Darryl Hogan out there, or even McDade, who was probably under the radar. I thought McDade was an excellent game, but he's got that kind of. I'm not saying he can do everything, but I mean he has pace, he's strength, he can cross, but he gets himself in the right spots. Like even for the quick throw there, Darryl Hogan spotted a quick throw, but he's made the run before the quick throw. He's enticed Hogan to make that throw, and that little bit of spark, that little wee bit of know-how where the Derry lads fell asleep, and he's got in. Look, you can argue whether it's a scuff shot, and the keeper's got to do better. The keeper's definitely got to do better. But I mean, if he's not in there, he doesn't get the chance, and that's
I think the fact that he takes that ball on and challenges and makes his way into the box with it, and it's one of them you probably hit and you chance your luck, don't you?
Yeah, and how many players go to square it? How many players look for the option because they've gone a wee bit too wide, the angle's become a wee bit too tight, they might square it across the box. But he's taking a chance. You need a bit of luck. The keeper's definitely giving it to him, and he's off the mark for the Premier Division. Look, and he's put us 2-1 up, and we were never cruising in the game, but there was time we seemed to be after a couple of minutes after we led at both times. We were a much better team. We seemed to have the game by the scruff of the neck.
They got rattled or something, I think.
Absolutely. And that's probably the first time I've seen it from a Premier Division point of view in a long time. But we just seemed to, when we got the goal, and it's not that long we were talking about the Dundalk score, you'll always get a crack, you'll always take them on, but we seem to be a wee bit different now. That's the mentality we were talking about with probably Ken and Kieran last year. I keep saying Ken and Kieran. It's Kieran and Ken, really. I should be sorry, Ken. Sorry, Kieran. But yeah, that's that mentality. That kind of when we don't lose head when you're 1-0 up. Go back to how many teams go back to the start line, go back to the centre circle after the kickoff, and just absolutely fall asleep for a couple of minutes because they think they're 1-0 up and they're cruising. But twice tonight, Dundalk didn't have that. But then just as the game went on, and look, Derry have hit the post, we've hit the post. Mullins had some chance with the headers. But then look at it, you're not skipping ahead, but then you're always going to come under that pressure. And that's what these boys have to expect. It's going to be relentless right till the 95th, 96th minute. But I mean, from a
98.
98 even, and what the real sickening thing about that, he didn't even let the game restart. Fucking blew the whistle straight after the goal, horrendous. Yeah.
Look. That's the thing, and like I say, if you had probably offered me a point before this game, I probably would have taken it, because I just thought to set up next week to have gained something from this was key. I thought you had to have something to build on, to going in there with having no points. I didn't want it to be. You were just worried about being bottom of the league after a couple of games in. Now you've got some points on the board, and that's really key. And we scored some goals as well. I think there's loads and loads to build on. Like I say, the Brandywell's not going to be easy for anyone to go to.
No.
And I think what'll probably annoy the lads is when they look back on the Sligo match with Derry in those last 5 minutes and into added time. Derry just piled on the pressure.
Yeah,
that was something similar here, except we had a lead to try to defend, and I don't know if that kind of like you just mentioned earlier before, that seeps into your head somewhat, and you kind of drift back a touch from it. But at the same time, like the free kick is, like I say, it comes off the post, and you're thinking maybe this is your day, from Mickey Duffy, but Rob Cornell would be absolutely raging at himself for sticking out the hand and pulling the jersey back. Initially, I didn't notice it. It was on the replay then. You can clearly see it. Maybe didn't realise how obvious it was going to be to the referee. Yeah. He just thought a wee pull back here and I might get away with it. But it was obvious when you see it on the replay. And maybe was he too eager on his debut to think, if I do something smart here, I might just get away with it and get us the 3 points here.
Yeah, and just something else I just noticed, we've got Premier Division on the bottom of the screen, and it's doing me head in, and it's really annoying. And I typed that, and it's late, so nobody be texting me later, saying you can't spell. Right? Anyway, moving on. It's late, lads. Give us a break.
I didn't even notice it now.
Yeah, I think, look, Carl was trying to be clever. You'd be furious with him, but there's people say, look, you got people tonight say, oh, it's not a penalty. It is a penalty. Of course it's a penalty. You put someone's jersey, you give the ref no, you don't give him any option. Now, the ref tonight probably shouldn't have given a penalty because he's been brutal the whole night. So he hasn't given anything. So really, in theory, if he was consistent, he wouldn't have given the penalty.
True.
But, look, for me, it's a penalty. The real annoying thing, and I said it I was texting Ronan Wall there, if he's listening, I was texting him after the game. The real frustrating thing for me is after the ball goes over the two lads, Cornwall and the player, his name escapes me. It bounces. There's 3 Dundalk defenders there, and they've pretty much got it covered, and he's still pulling the jersey. Like he has it off his back. Are we again, if we pull a jersey off Kilto, because the liner won't see it because it's just off the ankle, and then you cover yourself with your body, you'll get away with it. Because he doesn't go to ground. He doesn't even. I don't even know if he complains. It probably looks like in slow motion he's complaining. But when the ball drops and he's still pulling at the jersey, that's sacrilege. But I'd say at that point it's probably the end of the game. He's thinking, right, just wind the full down. But look, in hindsight it's great. But I mean, you can't be giving referees that type of decision. Now having said that, you could have given that referee any decision tonight. It was just one of them games. But yeah, you can't be giving people that kind of. Especially the last couple of minutes at home for Derry, you can't do that. And look, Rob Cornwall's experienced enough to know he's messed up there, but at the same time, he'll do it again because it's experience. That
you probably get away with it more times than getting caught.
Yeah. He does that next week, and only back it's with it, 100%.
Yeah,
because it's a different game, different crowd. You might not see it. It all depends on the referee's standpoint and where you're at. If you're clever enough to do it with a referee, just can't.
If he's the other side, it's not noticed. It's just he's the wrong side by the time he pulls it. It's obvious.
He sees nothing, and no amount of complaining will give him because he hasn't seen it.
No, and you think the penalty appeal in the first half, that's a blatant handball, and that's not seen. Yeah. So it swings and roundabouts on a lot of these things.
Yeah,
we take the point, Gally, and we're back to Oriel. It looks like the pitch has passed its test. It looks like the lights are going to be good.
Lights look savage, yeah.
Everything is been set up nicely. There's probably more positives than negatives for Ken and Kieran to take from the game tonight going into that. Did it change the mentality of, like I said, they probably played to our strengths and the weaknesses we had seen in Derry from the previous week? Drogheda will be a different proposition. Like I was at that game tonight, and from the start they were fast and in your face. Very different.
Even if you watch the goals, you can see on the goals they were just they're different Drogheda. Now I know it's only early doors, but they look like a different Drogheda. Yeah,
no, 100%. They played football at times, which is a big difference to how Drogheda used to play. It's a lot more creativity. There's a lot more football about them, but they are like a wild dog let off a leash. Like they were ready to go on this, and Kevin and Dara are going to have them rightly wind up now during the week as well. It's kind of setting itself up for a cracker, even an early season one, which normally you'd say, there's not a whole lot on the line and stuff. This is setting itself up for a real cracker of a Loud derby.
Yeah, and look, it's, that's what I'm saying. The start of the league, you would have had Rovers, Derry. Like, what a start. Like, if you don't know you're back in the big time, you'll know after next Friday night. I mean, those 3 games are, like, if you look around the league, they're the biggest 3 games that Dundalk will play this year in the first 3 matches. Like, I mean, Rovers are always a big game. Derry, there's always that link with Derry. Not a nastiness, there's always a nice link with Derry. And as the commentators allude, there's always I
think because we're so close to them compared to how they used to travel to everything else. Like.
Yeah. And then you've got your rivals down the road, and that's, and we are proper rivals now. For years, there was no comparison. But now we are, because we're probably chasing them. We're probably going to try, it's staying above each other this year. That's kind of what you're looking for. But like you say, just seen on the goal, I haven't seen a lot of the highlights tonight for Drogheda, but definitely the goals. You know, like Doyle's a big player for them this year. Like, but then the bite you're talking about, when Tiernan Mulvaney is going to be on that sideline as well. No better man to get Drogheda players ready to play Dundalk than Tiernan Mulvaney. So look, it's going to be a great one, and it's like you say, the pitch. And I know people go on about the stadium, and I know people go, but that pitch makes Oriel Park look 40 times better than it did last year. Like, I mean, when you consider what we were playing on, like, I don't know if anybody's obviously seen the pictures and that, but to see it up close, it's a hell of a spot. Now, outside it, luck needs work, but it's 10 times better than we had last year. But I'm really looking forward. It's a massive game already, massive. Yeah. And they're always big games. Doesn't matter what they're in. Doesn't matter if it's Jim Malone Cup, whatever it may be. They're always a big game. But now, like I say, you couldn't have asked for, I wouldn't say a tougher start, but if you wanted to hand pick 3 matches, we didn't play Rovers, but if you wanted to hand pick the 3 games, they're your 3 games. That's what you want to play.
Yeah.
And to get back into the Premier and give you a real kind of rude awakening of how life is back in the Premier Division. We couldn't have asked for better, I don't think.
No, and I think it could be a real important factor is remembering that the lads now have been training on that pitch for the past week. They're going to have another week next week. They're saying it is fast. Tyreek Wilson said it's very fast compared to the old pitch, which was slow, uneven, too much rubber on it. Now you've got a lovely slick surface. So, imagine a wee bit of water on that, how that could play. We got a taste of how that plays last year because it's the exact same pitch as Bray's pitch. So we've played on this type of pitch twice before. We were the first ones to play at it in Bray that time, and then we played again later in the season. Now we're training for 2 weeks on it. Just wonder if that's going to be a little bit of an advantage. Plus, tonight we were playing on an artificial pitch as well. So, we've got a bit of momentum of training and playing on these pitches coming into this. I wonder, could it be just a little bit, and I'm talking a little 1% all over the place with it.
Yeah, but that 1%, that 1 or 2% can be massive. Like, if you're 1 or 2% better on the night, you'll win it. You'll win the game. And like, I definitely think, they need, like, if we had to come into it, if the pitch only got ready this week and you got a week's training on it, look, it's still a week's training. But I mean, like Jason said, it is a new Oriel. I mean, that pitch, it's amazing the difference it makes. If anybody thought that we were crazy talking about how bad the pitch was, like, we know how bad the pitch was. But yeah, it should give us that wee bit. And look, like you said, draw or different animal now. But if the pitch is playing like it's you wanted to play, it should make for an absolute dinger of a match. But it should, Dundalk, what do you call it, an advantage or not? I don't know. But I mean, like, if the pitch had changed overnight, or if it was Drawhead's pitch, we'd have a real problem because we haven't been on it. But the fact that 2 weeks training is a lot, these boys are training proper. It's not like they're coming in for an hour every 4 days, and they're doing proper sessions on a proper running. So it should be, they should be ready to go. Every kind of minute that they get on it now is beneficial for next Friday night, and you really want to kick it off with a result, a win. Look, a draw is great, but you want to win. You got to be winning games, your local derby and stuff. So I think the pitch hopefully will play into our hands, and you're just like, look, everybody used to talk about, Dundalk, got the advanced playing on National, not the National we had. This thing is
we had to play half our games on a terrible pitch.
Yeah, it's not like that. There was no advantage to Dundalk playing National on that pitch for the last 6 or 7 seasons. But now you've got a pitch it plays like grass. So it's a real leveler, and couldn't have asked for a better game. You really couldn't have. I think, look, you're 1 or 2%.
If you could open your season at home to anyone on a new pitch, and from where we were the last time we were in the Premier Division, that low point to where we are now, feeling like we're on a high, a new pitch, new players, new confidence. In this team, around the club, it's just set up so perfect. Now, football's not always, it's not always Hollywood that you get your ending, but it just feels like it's all set up nicely. Dan Shields just on that, Waterford looking serious, but they did not look good tonight. And they struggled. They struggled to create. I haven't watched the game. Going off Twitter with something. There's a lot. They struggled to create anything. Defensively, I thought they were quite poor tonight as well. They
daily effect.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it is, but yeah,
Waterford have always been a team, though, haven't they? Like,
I think Dan is probably coming from where we were. Where my head is thinking as well is, I was thinking, can we do better than Galway this year, because they didn't look great the previous week against Drogheda and that late winner, should I say, from Drogheda, and you're thinking, oh right, that's going to put them behind us. Now Waterford didn't look great. I know they got a draw at home to Shells the previous week, but they did not look great tonight. You're thinking now, I think those two teams in particular, there's points to be had from them.
Yeah,
and they're the ones we've really got to be aiming for, trying to get something off them. But at the same time, last year, I think Oriel was just, it turned into this fortress. We didn't lose there at all last year. Yeah. The defeats we had were on the road last year. And like Dan said, you got to be aiming for big numbers in Oriel Park for everyone to get up there.
Got to be. Like, if you don't, like, look, and you want the big numbers, but if you don't get up to another game the whole year, this is the one.
This is it.
You know what I mean? It really is. Like, this is the one for where the clubs come from. The year we've had.
We'd about 3,000 last year, I think, at a lone opening game of the season, and we were thinking this is first division after everything, and big crowd turned up that night.
Yeah.
So you're just looking for something similar, but like I say, this is back in the big time against your local rivals. You want to pack the place out. You shouldn't be a ticket available for this one.
Be. The boys in Macara should be run off their feet in the bar. They actually have to close the bar. There's that many people in it. Drink sensibly, obviously, folks. It should be absolutely packed. It should be jammers. Like, it should be absolutely jammers. And the atmosphere should be, and it will be. Look, it'll be electric. It'll be the boys in the shed. It'll be an absolutely electric atmosphere. It's nearly pity of the way of the week.
Oh, I know.
It's such a pity. But like, look, again,
but I don't want a Monday night one just yet.
No. Like, you want the new pitch. I think the change of kind of the attitude of I should the dogs, this, the kip and that. Grand, we get that, we know that. But now we've got a surface, that you can be proud of. Although it is Astro, yes, you love grass, whatever, but it's not. So that's now we've got.
Look at him at the grass pitches. It's called off this weekend.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like, can't play football on the grass. But Talca Park destroyed. So we don't have that problem, thank God. And lights as well. The lights, I think that could make a hell of a difference. These new lights and the new lighting system, which Derry's tonight look cat on the telly, by the way.
Yeah, the other ones are too close in that new stand. They're terrible. Yeah.
My God. But anyway,
who stood out for you tonight? If we're picking a man to match, there's a couple in there, so we'll do it for the crack.
Yeah,
there's a couple on Instagram. Don't worry.
I think McDade,
Stephen Todd, I see it.
Probably definitely the first hour anyway. First half maybe, but I thought McDade went under the radar. I think Bones had a good game as well. Look, there's not many I'm not going to mention. Buckley was quiet, but I mean, look, I'd say he was probably worried he might break James McLean in half, so he probably just kept himself to himself because he probably wanted to play in this thing next week. This game next week, but I really don't see past. I mean, look, and you've also got Wilson again, a shrewd signing, Tariq coming in as well. So that
I think to keep Mickey Duffy quiet.
Absolutely.
We seen him kind of when he was able to get into the stride. He kind of ran the show previous week. Gets that yellow card, halfway through the first half as well. So you kind of have to be a little bit careful how you play it. But I thought JR had an excellent game,
and he's been solid. Like himself, McDade have been solid since they come in. They were the summer signings last year. The two main ones, they've been consistent since they come in. They haven't really put a foot wrong. I really if I go for that, I really don't see past Owen Kenny. I thought Owen Kenny was sensational. And like, I'm completely biased because the prince of the podcast. But I mean, look, they're all good. Mullins, Horgan, But I mean, I just think on his day, and I know we're only one day in, but on his day, he's unplayable. Like I don't see anybody living with him when he's on it. Like he's quick, he's fast, he's strong, both feet, header in the box. Like the only thing that's surprising is King Kenny hasn't signed him. All the goals are lacking. Like that's the real surprising thing. Nobody's come in from. Like we've hung on to him and Leonard for now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought he was sensational. The 10 really suits him, which it'll probably change next week. But I mean, Jesus, I thought he was absolutely.
But we probably shouldn't be so surprised because we at the start of last year we were thinking owns a striker, Then Owen played on the left at the very start. Then Leo Gaxa gets injured. He ends up playing on the right. You know, he just popped up everywhere. He played an out-and-out striker. He played both sides. So playing in the 10, we probably shouldn't be surprised because I think it's a fair assessment now. I don't just say he can play anywhere across the front line.
Pretty much. And like there'd be no dissuading. The only reason you would decide not to play him is that if you have an injury somewhere and you need him to go somewhere else, like he can play literally right across the top. The three, if you're playing like a 4-2-3-1, whatever it is, he can play right across, and he was top class again tonight. And when I say top class, he'd be better. Like he can be better. It's not like he wasn't at it the whole way, but I mean, I thought he was outstanding. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I don't see anything changing for him. Like if you get at him, like say you were watching Draw tonight, so you'll know a bit better. But I mean, I don't see why you would just swap him out for next week and put him anywhere else.
I think having the local element to it is, he understands the rivalry and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
Dan came in with a couple of ones there at the end, so I actually think we'll give it to Dan Shields tonight. Well done, Dan. There's a pizza there for us in Tony's Pizzeria. So congratulations. Start off the season with a pizza for yourself. So that is on us. Last thing, Gally.
Where are we going to finish? What?
Before we finish. Wardy's retirement. Someone who had more comebacks than anyone else surely at the club. 4 was enough. He's decided to stay. But a shrewd move by Killer to get him in and fills the Dane Massey hole that was in the coaching staff.
Yeah, and we're talking about the number 10s and we're talking about midfielders, playmakers, and Owen Kenny. Maybe that's who he's learning off. I don't know, but yeah, look, I think to keep Wardy around the club, you gotta keep him. A player like that, he looks like a real kind of, if you need something, if you're having a bit of a dodgy day or a bit of a bad training session, you're looking for someone to go into a room and send someone in with him to wake him up. Keep Ward your man. It's a shrewd. Like Stephen Sherry have signed on again for coaching. No issues. I mean, look, I don't know if he's a full-time part. I don't know what he's doing, but I mean, look, an absolute masterstroke. Why not?
Yeah, no, I think he's still. I think it's kind of part-time. I think he's still doing with the brewery that he's kind of always been working with as well. But I think this is good.
Even just as a motivator, But then, look, I'm probably doing a bit to say. Obviously, I'm motivated. He's more experienced than there's not many 100%. More experienced players of his age that play. I don't know how many games he actually have in the League of Ireland, but it's in the hundreds. So that experience is second to none. He's been there. He's won the trophies. He's played for Dundalk for 47 years. He's 37 comebacks. Something like that. What it is. And he's played everywhere. You have your Bows, your UCD Bows, Derry. He's been everywhere. So plenty of experience, and you couldn't pay for that. You couldn't get a coach in at the minute. That's kind of part time or whatever it may be. Yeah, I think it's no brainer. I think it's a masterstroke.
Yeah, I'm trying to do a quick calculation on his total. I think it's about probably 400 appearances, something around that. But I did get to see the end of one of the training sessions there last week, and I'd say they're fun. When Wardy's doing it, I'd say Killer is a bigger thing trying to keep him out of the training session because Wardy just wants to get involved in everything that's there. Gally, look, I think we'll leave it there for tonight. We'll sip and look forward to a Loud derby coming up next week, and so we'll be back to do the same as always on that. Good to have the pod back again. Who knows when this will finally stop, but we'll have to do it at some stage. But look, we'll be back after next Friday after the Loud derby. So until then, come on, turn.
My black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white scarf, my black and white, yeah, it's black and white, we're just black.